Chapter 1. Agony of the Soul and Divine Assistance. On the lower slopes of the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem, there is an ancient garden where olive trees were once grown in large numbers, and olives were crushed and pressed to produce abundant amounts of olive oil. A few trees can be seen today, perhaps as a memorial to this site's dramatic past and its critical role in history. Also scattered on these slopes are ancient graves, where wealthier Jews were buried at the time of Jesus. It was in this ancient garden on the Mount of Olives that Jesus spent his last moments with his disciples and notoriously prayed in agony before being arrested and crucified. See Luke 22:41-44. Today, behind an ornamented fence in this ancient olive grove, the Garden of Gethsemane, tourists especially notice the time-worn gnarled trunks of 8 massive olive trees that some believe date back to New Testament times. The Jewish historian Josephus recorded that many trees around the city of Jerusalem were cut down by Roman troops who used the wood to make equipment to assist them as they besieged and plundered Jerusalem in 70 A.D. To determine whether the olive trees in the Garden of Gethsemane dated to the time of Christ, a radiocarbon dating test was carried out on some of the roots of these ancient trees, and the results indicated that some of the roots sampled could indeed be 2,000 years old. These massive olive trees could be original to the garden at the time of Christ, or descended from those ancient trees, having evolved and survived to the present time. But it is at least possible that some of these trees today were there at the time of Jesus' agony and are silent witnesses to the events that occurred in the Garden of Gethsemane before his crucifixion so many years ago. Many significant events in the life of Jesus took place in the Garden of Gethsemane. It is for this reason that Christians from all over the world have been making pilgrimages to this site for some 2,000 years. Today, most visitors enter the Garden of Gethsemane through an ancient stone gate and stroll curiously onto the path encircling the 8 ancient olive trees that I just described to you. Finally, after they explore that fenced-off area, they make their way to the entrance of the Church of All Nations, which was constructed on the ruins of a Byzantine basilica that was originally erected there to commemorate the events that took place in the Garden of Gethsemane in Jesus' last hours. When archaeologists discovered those 4th century foundations in the 1920s, along with fragments of magnificent mosaics, they began to work in conjunction with architects to construct the Church of All Nations, which was officially consecrated in April 1924. Inside the Church of All Nations is a centerpiece that is an exposed outcropping of rock, which is believed to be the place where Christ agonizingly prayed the night he was arrested in the Garden of Gethsemane. And there is every reason to believe that it really is the place where Jesus sweat great drops of blood during that time of prayer in his last hours. See Luke 22:44. Today, this rock is encircled by a beautiful bronze fence designed to protect the outcropping from visitors, because for centuries, people who visited the site cut small pieces of the rock to take home as a holy relic. Therefore, much of it is now gone. As one stands in front of that bronze fence and looks upward at the front interior of the church, he can gaze upon a wall that is elaborately covered with marvelous, brilliantly colored mosaics that breathtakingly illustrate Jesus' final hours before he was arrested in the Garden of Gethsemane. A regular gathering place for Jesus and his disciples. Just a short distance from the well-known Church of All Nations is another significant site that is pertinent to the story of Jesus, but it's one that many visitors know nothing about. In fact, they walk right past it, not knowing how significant it is to some of the events we read about in the Gospels. I'm talking about an underground grotto where it is known that Jesus and his disciples regularly met. Down several flights of worn stone steps, and at the end of a narrow pathway lined with stone walls on either side, is an entrance.
To keep listening to this audiobook for free, click the link in the description. It will take you to a free Audible trial where you can listen to this and many other books for free for 30 days.